everybody has this bucket. We do it personally and professionally. It's called the limiting belief and the doubt bucket. And man, that bucket's hungry. It wants you to continue to doubt yourself. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I got a 22 on my ACTs. I am very far from the smartest person in the room, but one thing that I will kick everybody's butt in is the belief system that I have in myself.
What kind of a person gives up a dream job to help the homeless?
A young woman from Philadelphia walks into a local homeless shelter and says, I want to take some people running. And that's just what Mahlum did.
Mahlum is an entrepreneur, CEO, philanthropist, athlete, and professional speaker who has created more than $100 million of net worth by investing in herself and her own businesses. She's completed 11 marathons, including one on every continent. She's the founder of Back on My Feet, a national nonprofit with an annual budget of nearly $8 million. She's the founder and former CEO and executive chair of Solidcore, a boutique fitness concept with over 120 locations across the U.S. that she sold in 2023. And she has raised more than $210 million in private equity for her ventures.
When we choose to disempower ourselves, the only person who loses is us. You are not too old, it is not too late, you are not too uneducated, you are not too inexperienced. You only are those things if you continue to tell yourself that. I grew up in Bismarck, North Dakota, like many of you, I'm sure, and I had a great childhood.
A lot of my drive comes from my upbringing.
My dad was my hero. And when I was 16 years old, I got a pretty hard dose of reality.
My parents separated when I was 16. My dad's an addict. He went through drug and alcohol recovery when I was really young.
For me as a 16-year-old kid who thought she had everything figured out and her family unit gets torn apart, I was pissed. What does this all mean? There has to be something that makes my life make sense. And it was kind of the first time I realized that I had a big choice to make. I could let this thing derail my life, or I thought, why don't I just go for a run? I needed that consistent daily reminder that I am the one driving the bus here. And the only thing that remained true from 16 until then is that I was a runner.
One morning in May of 2007, I ran by these group of guys outside the homeless shelter that I walked by thousands of times before. They waved at me.
And they're like kind of making fun of me as I'm running by, and one of them shouts out to me, if all I ever do is run all day, and I shout back, do all they ever do is stand there all day? And it was like this really connective time for me because that's the way I talk to my dad. And I remember turning back, looking at these guys and thinking, why do I get to be the runner? And those guys actually have to stay homeless on the corner of the street. So I have this idea.
Due to start her dream job in communications the next day, Mahlum made a life-changing decision. She ditched the job and started what some called crazy, a running club for the homeless.
So the worst case scenario that people kept putting in my head was, oh my God, Ann, all these guys are gonna quit. You're gonna be embarrassed. How are you gonna pay your bills? You're probably gonna end up homeless. This sounds crazy. Why would you do this? So in that moment, I said, well, what's the best case scenario?
Now a program about more than just running. It's job training and life skills in almost a dozen Philadelphia shelters with 100 success stories.
We have built this incredible organization that is now $6.5 million operating budget, is in 10 different cities, soon to be 11, has helped thousands of people change the direction of their life.
When I'm running, I'm a part of something good. I can reach goal, I can make friends, I can get positive people in my life, and I can be a productive member of society. If I didn't join Back on My Feet, I'd probably be dead.
A few people have called me naive, thinking I can change the world through running, and I would have to agree with them. However, what I do believe is that you can change the world through decent humanity, kindness, and encouragement, and giving people a second chance. In fact, I don't think you can change the world any other way. So I want to thank everyone who took this crazy idea of mine and made it real. Thank you. I wouldn't have paid any attention to those guys on that corner if it wasn't for my father. My personal life is getting a ridiculous amount of clarity. For 10 years, I had no reasons for my dad's addiction. Nothing good came from it. It was tears and heartache and hardship and struggles and frustration and resentment. And now for my life to come full circle, to realize my own healing force is going to be used to help people who remind me of my dad and give them opportunity, I'm sorry, I'm just not that clever. And there was something much bigger going on. And I realized this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. I found the thing I'd been searching for so long. I made my life make sense. And so why 5.5 or almost 6 years in, did I feel like it was time to move on? My philosophy for my life is I want to be at the end of my life and say I lived 30, 40 lives. And I realized I'm either gonna have to live with these voices every day or I'm gonna have to figure out what my next move is. So I was working out like crazy. I love working out. And I went to Los Angeles and I walk into this Pilates studio thinking I'm super fit. How cute is this LA workout? I take this workout, get my butt kicked. And I'm like, people don't know about this workout. You don't know you can work out this way. And one thing I know how to do is build brand and community.
That same year, she took her savings from Back on My Feet, all $175,000, and used it to open her first solidcore studio in DC.
I was gonna put it all on the line. If we can set the right expectations, that it is gonna be a little bit scary. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable. But isn't that okay? Isn't that what life's all about? Same voices from people again and again. My accountant, do you know how many gyms fail? You're gonna take all of your money and do this? Oh my God, Ann, this just feels so risky. Constantly, people afraid of life, afraid of taking a risk, trying to put that on me. One of the things I learned real quickly was stop asking advice of people who've never done what you wanna do. Put all my money in, opened my first studio. Within 3 months, I said I'm opening my second studio.
Frequented by the likes of Michelle Obama, solidcore isn't for the faint of heart.
There is no possible way for you to have the things that you want without taking the risk. If you let failure continue to drive your decisions, we end up in that position with tons of regrets at the end of the day. One of my superpowers, which everybody in this room is capable of, is working on your belief system. And the reason I feel like I have been successful and happy and fulfilled, I'm just willing to play the game.
By 2023, solidcore had expanded to 100 locations, and in April of 2023, Ann sold all her shares of the company and walked away with more than $88 million.
You don't get more confident by telling yourself to get more confident. You get more confident by having reps underneath your belt.
Her storytelling, her vulnerability, and her boldness had every attendee on the edge of their seats. I would have Annie back in a heartbeat to speak again and again.